We're going to stay on the topic of the Gaia-X Trust Framework, but we're going to be talking about how to actually build interoperable data infrastructure ecosystems. We're going to have a bunch of very smart people here on stage. Here to introduce also the panelists, we have the moderator for our panel. He is CINO for Gaia-X. Please welcome Pierre Grunlier. Yeah.
Hello, hi. I understand that I'm the last speaker, I think, before the break,
lunch,
so
yes.
I will quickly invite the three panelists to join me on stage. And I have a clicker. Yes, so Catherine Simonin, Frédéric, and Sven, please. We will talk today about the how to make the trust framework and how to have interoperable data space for that. Before we start, I need to highlight that those three esteemed participants, thanks. Damn it, one is missing. Those three participants are key players within the Gaia-X ecosystem. So beside their title and their presence here, Catherine has been leading several sprint meetings for the Policy Rules Committee. She has been very active. Frédéric has been the lead of the data space, data exchange working group under the technical committee also for a year and a half, I remember. And Sven is very active inside the Eclipse data space working group, working with the SSI solution. So I'm very happy to have them today on the panel. We know that there is a script, so the questions are prepared. But if you have any question after that, don't worry. Some of us are wearing t-shirts. We are ready to answer any question you have. That's the intent of today's event, so that you get back home with a clear picture of how to use Gaia-X, how to adopt it, how to contribute to it. So without further ado, we saw the picture about interoperability layer, and maybe, Catherine, you would like to remind us the different layer of interoperability?
Yes, it has been presented already, but I will go more in detail. So imagine you are a member of a data space, and you are able to consume a data space service, data, or cloud as effortless as going in a new airport and take out your mobile, and yes, it's working. When you arrived in Helsinki, you didn't need to discuss, to agree on a new contract. So this is really the aim of interoperability. Be able to consume easily, but also with understanding what you are going to consume. So it was presented several times, those 4 layers. I go a little bit more in detail. The first layer is the technical one, not the funny, but mandatory, because data doesn't flow on rainbow. Thanks, Pierre. So it's it's where we agree on the underlying infrastructure to be agnostic to all the services that will be built on top. It means open source solutions, standards, or de facto standards. On top of it, we also have semantic interoperability layer, where you define a common wording and description of each word. In fact, its meaning and the way you say it, to have the same vocabulary. And then, so those 2 parts are described in the architecture documents with an S. And on top of it, we have organizational layers of interoperability and legal one. The organizational layer, sorry for that, is the way to have clear understanding of the service between the users and the provider. So it's where you describe the service in a way that your consumer can trust it. So easy to describe it, easy to understand it and to consume it. And the legal is a way to check if there is legal gaps between countries. For Europe, as laws are most of the time agreed at the European level before being deployed in each country, it should help us to achieve this. So those 2 layers are described in the compliance documents without S, and also in the authority of each data space.
Which brings us to one of the definition and terms that we've used in the compliance document. That's the notion of trust anchor for your domain. And here I will ask Sven to give us an example on this interoperability across trust anchors.
Yeah, it's a really good question. And trust anchors, we as Deutsche Telekom, started really early to look into the trust anchor concept. Decentralization of this telecommunication example is a good example. And we are working with our telecom security department, who is managing also the critical infrastructure for the telecommunication network. This is orchestrating, managing, and issuing for us certifications. That is first. And second, we are then extending the service by so-called trusted sources, where we are validating if this particular partner, customer, is identified and is able to identify it in a certain trusted source. Glyph as an example, IORI is another example, WET-ID for Germany is relevant. But beyond that, we are extended this as well to the level where we are working with commercial providers together. So that means there are open corporates, as mentioned one, and this is what we are continuing on. And that is really, really exciting. In our trip to Japan, we agreed with NTT. They just announced that they have a clearinghouse, and now we are looking in other regions for trusted sources and partners who are then also making it interoperable. So at the end of it, the idea is here really that we have a global trust framework established where we have different trust anchors in every region, and you really can compare it to finalize the sentence in a sense that we are would like to have it as the telecommunication network is organized, right? Deutsche Telekom network in Germany, maybe Telefonica or Orange in France, and that is really the idea, but it comes only with trust anchors and trusted sources who are really extending that. And we are really happy that we are entering a global pilot here. We are starting this. I think Tobashi-san was unfortunately a little bit late, but he will explain it a little bit more in details from NTT. So what we are planning to do, and so that we really make it happen, that we are establishing this.
Thank you very much. We had a good presentation by also Christophe on how the trust framework works before. Maybe, Catherine, you would like to go through those steps one more time with your own words and your own way to present that?
Yes, so the first step is the documentation. The first one is the compliance document now. It's called the compliance document. Inside this document, you have the full list of the criteria, so it's something like 60 criteria. For each of them, you know which permissible standard can be applied and which conformity assessment body also are accepted, linked to these permissible standards. And you have all the levels described per criteria. You also have the architecture documents with NES, explaining all the technical rules, the semantic, everything, and you need to have a mix of those two documents and a very clever team on that to build the clearinghouse. So I take this opportunity to thank the CTO team and the lab team who developed it. They are making a very good job. It's easy to deploy, it's well industrialized, and it's in open source. So you have this digital clearinghouse, the Gaia-X, this is the same thing, a software that is available to obtain, to fulfill the labeling or the standard compliance with Gaia-X.
Thanks. So talking about software and open source, there is one of the questions that we get often. What is already available today? So here I will ask maybe Catherine and Sven to give us a quick overview of the tools and software that they already see and how it works to use the trust framework. So Catherine, I think you are first.
Yes. A question we have very often, how can we get a label as a service provider? How is it possible today? So it was also explained a little bit by others. It's another way to see it. So you have a service and you want to have from a clearinghouse, whatever it is, the certification. So you can send your verifiable credential for fulfilling the ontology. For the standard compliance and level 1, the self-declaration is enough. You send it to the clearinghouse, and that's okay. But most of the time, you need also a conformity assessment body. Today, if you already, for example, if you're already ISO compatible or certificate, you don't have the digital verifiable credential available, so you need a notarization service that will translate it for you and that will be able to understand all the criteria that are fulfilled by only one permissible standard. So this way you send everything to the clearinghouse, all your verifiable credential, and the digital clearinghouse will be able to provide you the label. Only a digital clearinghouse is able to give you this conformity. The conformity assessment body is not able to do it. They will give you the certificate that helps you to reach the level 2 and 3. And you have many clearinghouse available. For example, Sven is representative of one of the first that exists in T-System.
Sven, do you want to complement the question on the clearinghouse now, or wait for the next question where we also talk about the clearinghouse? Go back.
No, let us wait.
Let us wait. Okay. So more time for lunch sooner than expected. So as a technology provider, then I will also ask now Frédéric to explain a bit what is there and available out there for that all the services and products that went through that trust framework processes.
Yes, but first of all, it's already there. I mean, there are data spaces that are running and that are running with technology that enable the participant, the service, and the data product to be Gaia-X compliant. There are many of them. I mean, there are Catena-X, Eona-X, Prometheus-X, Digital Direct, a lot of data space X, and they're already there, and they're using the clearing houses, which are there. Well, that's the first step, and that's very, very, very nice. Still, to build true data spaces, we need components around these. We need concept management systems for personal data or non-personal data. We need wallets, we need identity management, and this all has to come together. Maybe it's not quite there, but maybe we'll talk about what is needed, what are the next challenges, but it's starting to be there. So right now, we can bluntly say that, yes, there are data spaces, and there are going to be huge ones. I would mainly want to cite two of them, the one from Airbus, the one from EDF, Électricité de France, which are aiming at getting the level 3 label for Gaia-X. So that's a huge step, and it's going to truly prove what is going on in Gaia-X, the true value of Loire, and to deliver these labels.
And I do understand that the company you represent, Gaia-X, is also providing some tools and services for that, right?
Yes, yes. We're a tech provider, meaning that we provide the technology for our customers to build data spaces and to get these elements for Gaia-X compliance. So that's a huge challenge, but it's there. Of course, there are other companies and open source technology that's around that, but we're very proud to be able to, right now, have this technology available, let's say to plug it inside the Gaia-X ecosystem and to get these data spaces ready.
And I think that one of the strengths that Gaia-X managed to build is to have technical interoperability and semantic interoperability across those different software provider vendors. So, for example, we have two testimonials one from Sven and then Catherine on their software also.
Yeah, maybe let me add a few cents what is out and what is available. Open source is available. 2 years ago, we started with the Gaia-X team and implemented the first clearinghouse. It's now in production, it's in use. And that means the first Lighthouse products are using it. We are working hard and intensive to make it interoperable between regions and continents. At the beginning, what I'm saying. But what I'm also really proud of is that we now finalized and finished the level 1 certification the last days as well. So that means we started with conformity at the beginning, the easiest level to do verifying credentials and issuing certificates. But now, as well with our own cloud, Open Telecom Cloud, we are also now happy to serve clients for certain security and compliance reason to have a level 1 certification also in place. So that means we are offering it as a multi-hybrid cloud approach. And here we are now able to serve our clients. For that reason, not only the basic level conformity is in production, now even a step further, the level 1 is in production and can be used by clients. And that is the next step. To really go and jointly together with the Gaia-X team.
And that's the level 1 of the Loire release, the one reading release as of now, not the one from 2 years ago.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. Yeah, and so that means on time, and so that's really fantastic, yeah.
So for Orange, it's a little like the system. We are offering a lot of services for data spaces from the infrastructure layer based in France, that we want to have level 3. This is the aim. And also, I take this example of a live identity wallet because I think it's a key part of the data space. It's the wallet for an organization that helps you to manage, of course, your access right, but also the delegation, which is really mandatory, and the management of access to the data. So I propose you can come and see us at the booth. We have a booth just there if you want to see all the full services we have, because we are also going till the Gen AI solution with the Live Intelligent Trust. And also, just to mention that for AgData, that we did not mention yet, another data space, we are offering the infrastructure and also this live identity wallet with Gaia-X services for traceability, present by Fred Lyric.
Thanks a lot. So we see that there is an adoption of the Gaia-X standards being implemented, released out there with business services running, which leads me to the question I have for Frédéric. How does the trust framework can be standardized? We had one of the first answer to that question in the presentation before with Christophe, with the Eclipse Data Space Working Group, where we standardized the Eclipse Conformity Assessment Policy and Credential Profile, CAP for friends. But I think that we could do more also there. Frédéric.
Yeah, maybe you can show the next slide. Oh, yeah, good. Well, let's get with the main overview. There is a global trend for many years now, which is based on three pillars. First, there's the inputs from policymakers. There's been a huge effort, and a lot of effort in Europe, to come up with regulation around the data. Of course, there the RGPD, but there's also the Data Act, the Digital Governance Act, the AI Act, and many others. There are others in Japan and all around the world, and it's an important input because we have to be conforming to these regulations. Then there are another efforts with many organizations, and Gaia-X is one of them, to come up with, let's say, frameworks and models and architecture documents to provide these specifications to build data spaces from Gaia-X, from IDSA, from BDVA, from DSCC, and so on. Many organizations and now working together, and that's a good thing. And then there is these efforts of standardization, because even if Gaia-X is providing a lot of specification, these are de facto standards. And it's often needed for the industry to have de jure standards. So there are a lot of effort going on right now to get these framework from the input from the regulation turned into proper de jure standard. I will name only two of them, but there are many of them. There is one effort which is important, let's say at the data plane level, for the data space protocol, which is a very important one because it's there. I mean, the specifications are there. There are code behind that implements these specification, and it has to be turned into a proper standard. And there's a lot of effort behind that at IDSA, at the ISO level, and so on. I will maybe talk a bit more about the trusted data transaction workshop, because I'm deeply involved in it. It gathered a lot of important players. There's Gaia-X and DSCC and Fraunhofer and TNO and Gaia-X and Microsoft and Prometheus and Hub1 and AgData and Airbus and EDF, and a lot of different people around, major player, coming all together to define, well, first, what are the meaning of this? What is a data space? What is a participant? What is a data provider? And come up with the first document defining the scope of what data transaction is, and that's the first step. It's been finalized. It's public, and it's going to now follow the process of standardization through what's called a joint technical committee. So it's in the way, and we're just starting the second part, which will be a challenge, but it's working to define the characteristics and the attributes for trustworthiness within the database. How to measure and define trusted data transaction. And it's going to go along. There's at least a year of work, and then will be turned into a proper standard. And I believe, but that's my opinion, that we must go further than that. I mean, we have to turn, but that's an opinion I think it's shared by a lot of people here, to turn Gaia-X specification into standardization. I mean, a de jure standardization. It's important because if you want at the European level or at the industry level to have tenders, you have to specify standards. And right now, Gaia-X is not a standard. It's a de facto standard. And if we want to go further and build this data space and get money for that, and get all the technology around that, we have to get this done. So there's a lot of effort, but we have to keep that going.
So I think that you are also giving a bit of the an answer to the next question we had about the challenges for Gaia-X label to scale, for the scaling of data spaces at your level, your domain expert and business view, Gaia-X level, EU level. So you mentioned few key elements. Do you have anything else to elaborate on that part specifically?
Yes, well, there's the standardization effort. That's our part. There's still a lot of work to do at the Gaia-X level. I mean, we've done a tremendous work, but still there are unanswered questions. What does it mean? What labels mean for at the data exchange level? It's something that we are working on. There's still a lot of work on the data exchange specification, on the data usage, and so on, and consent management, and so on. So there's still a lot of work to do, but it's going on. Still, that's a challenge. And then there are questions regarding, let's say, tech providers and data spaces. What does it mean to be Gaia-X compliant for the data space? We know what it means for a participant or service, data product, but it's a bit fuzzy for describing what a data space. We'll get to prescribe that, but that's the role of the PRC and so on. And then at the technical level, we got bricks that are working, but sometimes it's a bit complicated. You know, we need things at the identity level. We really need decentralized identities. We need wallets, like the one you were saying, and it's got to be Gaia-X compliant and manage the VC, like the ones and the ontology from Gaia-X. We need things at the connector level. We got things with DSP, with data space protocol, but well, the code within that, it likes things around Gaia-X and some protocol and VC.
So
and
more Gaia-X
OpenID for VC, VP, and so on. So it's got to be done. It's really important because still it's a bit confusing, and we'll need these blocks. It's got to be standardized. It got to be written into code, and that's a challenge. And we have to face that and get this properly working.
Okay. So my last question, and as the moderator of the panel, usually you have the privilege to ask a surprise question or unprepared question. So my unprepared question with you will be following up on what you said. What would you like to have for next year? So we will have a summit, a Gaia-X summit, a successful one again. And what would you like to see, any of those challenges to be answered and how? So I don't have a specific order. I saw that you were nodding from the heads, Ben, so maybe you want to start, and then Catherine and Frédéric?
Yeah, I was quick to say, underline what Frédéric just said regarding the question scaling. I think scaling comes with use cases, and use cases are like supply chain transparency are global. So what I believe in is that we have to work on these global use cases and make the underlying reference architecture adaptable, understandable, and standardized in a way that it will be used global. I think this is important to scale, and what I would love to see is that we have exactly these use cases next year in place, where we are speaking not about Europe, we are speaking about a global standardization activity and saying, okay, we connected the first initiative ecosystem in Europe with an ecosystem outside of Europe and explained not that we use the technologies, we're explaining what is the business value. And that's a little bit what I'm turning a little bit in this direction more and more, going a little bit away from the technical components, going more into the business value discussion, what really we are getting as a return out of it, instead of talking about level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Technically nice, but I think what we really have to hard to work on is on the business value for all these initiatives. And this is hopefully, and my wish, as it will come next year. And as a visionary idea, telco perspective, data spaces and the ecosystem, digital ecosystem should be as easy as a telephone call as we are doing today. This is my overarching visionary way to go. So that means trust anchors, decentralized, organized, and I'm looking in my telephone book and find Catherine, call her with her identifier, with a telephone number, and then we are exchanging data, voice or data. It's how easy, yeah? Right? And this is a little bit...
I fully adhere to that vision, yeah. Catherine?
I will not dream so much, but I think interoperability is a cooperation. So for next year, if many other people can join the technical committee work groups and the policy rules committee work group, it will help a lot, especially on use cases that we are looking for.
Frederic, a few words again. And
yes, well, first, I would love to get next year and see Gaia-X as a standard. That would be really great. And then I will follow Sven. We need to work at the business level. We haven't talked about the business interoperability. I should have mentioned that. This is maybe the biggest challenge, and this should be the objective of the work starting now, doing business.
Thank you very much. Very clear, wishful, looking forward commitment and goals. With that, thank you very much. That's the end of the panel, so you can have lunch now. Don't forget, some of us have t-shirts. I had to drop the jacket for that, but we are here also to answer any question you have anytime about anything about Gaia-X, so don't hesitate to reach out to us. Thanks a lot.